Hi, I'm Philip, one of the members of Spiceai, and today I'm going to be demonstrating how to get started with Spiceai. So the first step is to navigate to the docs. Easiest way to get there is to just go to spiceai.org, which will take you to our public repository, and from there we have a link to the docs page. On the docs page, we'll click over to this getting started guide here, and the first step is to install Spiceai. So we'll go copy this curl command over into this terminal window that I have open. You can go to any directory for this, and then I will click enter. What this will do is it will download the Spiceai CLI and install it into your path. You may need to restart your terminal for you to get the Spice command, but then after it's installed, you should be able to type Spice version and then see the versions here. So you'll notice that there's actually two versions that's listed here. There's the CLI version, which is the thing we just installed. And then there's also the runtime, which is a component that will get downloaded later. I've already got it downloaded. But if you're running it for the first time, it will download it whenever you type spice run, which we'll get to in a second. So now that we've got the CLI installed, we're going to go and create our first Spiceai pod. And so a Spiceai pod is basically a collection of configuration that we use to configure what data we're sending to the engine, and then also for the engine to know what recommendations it should be giving to us. So the way Spiceai works is you say, here's a set of actions that I want you to recommend, and then based on the data, it learns which action it should recommend at which time. And so a Spiceai pod is basically how we define those things. And so the first step is to clone this quick starts repository. So I'm just going to go over here and git clone this Spiceai quick starts. And then I'm going to cd into that directory and then run spice run. And so this is where it will download the runtime if it has not already been downloaded. Mine has already been downloaded, so we'll just start it up. And then once it's up and running, as you can see here, we're going to go over into a separate terminal window and also cd into that quick start server ops directory. And then we'll type spice add quick start server ops. And so what this will do is this will call off into a separate service that we call spice rack. You can think of that as an npm or a pip. It's basically a registry of these spice pods. And we've already got this defined, so when you click spice add quick start server ops, it will go and download that pod. And we can see that the runtime has actually noticed that we added this spice pod, and it has automatically started training. So you can see here that it's loaded some data and then it started the training. And so this is going to be, like I said earlier, it's going to be looking at the data, and then based on a reward function, which is also part of the spice pod configuration, it's going to learn which actions it should be taking at which steps. We can also go to localhost 8000 and see a dashboard of the Spiceai pod. So it's currently training right now, but if I click the server ops pod, we can actually see a graph of the performance of it training. And so we can see that these are the rewards that it's getting, and these are the actions that it's taking to get those rewards. And then up here we can see the observation. So this is the data that it's actually training off of. So for this particular example, it's training off of CPU data. And so we can see here the CPU usage, the idle time is what it's looking at. And so this will take a minute for it to complete training. If you'd like to retrain at any point in time, you can go over, use the CLI, and then type spice train, and then the name of the pod. If you want to figure out which pod to do, you can use the CLI spice pods list, and it will show you which pods are currently running. So we can see here we've got the server ops, and then we can do spice train server ops. Of course, our training is already in progress from earlier, so that doesn't do anything, but you can use that. And then now that we've got the Spiceai training, and it looks like it's about to be trained, we can actually create an application that leverages the recommendations that Spiceai provides. And so in the server ops quick start, we have an npm, a small node application. So I'll just do npm install. And then I will fire this application up, and we can see that it's calling Spiceai and it's getting a recommendation on a recurring time frame. So you can imagine that this is part of your app and you're calling Spiceai to get recommendations on what you should do. So that's it. So in just a few minutes, we were able to download and install the Spice CLI, the runtime, create our first Spiceai pod, train it, and get a recommendation for it. So if you liked what you see, go ahead and keep in touch with us by navigating to our GitHub repository, hitting the star button, and then joining us on Discord by navigating all the way to the bottom and hitting that Discord link, where you'll be able to talk with us here and also get updates on whenever we release new versions of the product. Thank you.